This is so exciting because I think this is the first movie review that I've done live, and I want to make sure that I bring everybody in. So first of all, come on in and let me look this way because this is where my other device is, right? I want to make sure that I am seen and heard, and I must say I am excited about this movie, right? I am excited because of the discussion and just the fact that, as far as I know, this is the first movie, on the big screen about Harriet Tubman. Really an amazing, an amazing woman. Okay, I'm anxious to hear your son's reaction. Okay, Carrie, I see you, and good morning, great movie. Okay, yeah, before we jump into that, he did not want to go. Initially, he did not want to go. So I'm live right now inside of the Better You community, and also live on the Angela M. Odom page. And so every Tuesday at noon, we are here on the Better You TV, and we're discussing, talking about a leadership themed topic. Right today. What better way to start off Tuesday than to talk about Harriet Tubman? And that's a real leader right there. So if you know anybody who can benefit from this goodness on the Better You TV for women leaders, some folks, go ahead and share, start a watch party, like, and definitely make some comments, and we will make sure that we cover those, while you are talking. All right. I'm just really I'm like full because of this. So I am Angela Odom, and you know how women undervalue themselves. I help women get promoted and to progress in their career, and also to thrive in their social environments. So I'm really excited about today's topic, and it is Harriet the movie. So for the people who have not seen it, good morning, Mo. For the people who have, I don't know what your take on this one way or the other is. So if you've already seen it, or you're thinking you're going to see it, put definitely. If you already made up your mind like not, then go ahead and put not, not, right? Just trying to see who we're dealing with right now for Harriet the movie, right? So what you're going to discover today on this episode of Better You TV is that Harriet Tubman was a real person. Harriet the movie, we'll discuss some things in that. Take a really quick look at the director, the actors, the main characters, and then I'm going to share with you what I did not like and what I did like about the movie. And before we even start with that, I want to tell you that I took my favorite teenager with me, and as I stated earlier, he was initially, he was like, I got my phone and I'll be on my phone. I don't want to see this. And I was like, what is it? You're going and you're going to watch this movie. And so he thought that it would be one of those like Roots, remember the movie Roots, where, they're showing, the man's foot being chopped, and really the horrific brutality of slavery. And he's like, I don't really want to see that, Mama. And I was like, whatever you want to see, you're gonna see it. So slowly but surely, we were in the movie theater, and he was watching and commenting. He was talking loud, like we were at home, just me and him. So I was like, quiet, boy, let's watch the movie. So he got really into it. He was really into it. I think more so because the movie was more of a depiction of the hero, Harriet, as opposed to slavery and all of its brutality. So she was a real person. So let's just first get that. Harriet is history. Let's just focus on the fact that this movie about this woman, tiny woman, I think about 5 feet tall, was the first on the screen of this kind, right? That's pretty amazing all by itself. But just some facts. She was a tiny woman. She couldn't read or write. and she escaped once she found out that she was about to be sold, and she was in Maryland and going to be sold um, again, and moving farther to the south, where known to be more. I don't know how if you want to do the scale of brutal and brutal, but the South had its own reputation for definitely being inhumane. So anyway, so she escaped and from a Maryland plantation and went to freedom in the North. After about a year, she kept going back and forth to get more people, to get more people out of slavery, and that was all by itself amazing. And then during the war, she became the first woman, American woman, to lead troops into battle near Beaufort, South Carolina. So this me, the Army veteran, I'm like, boom, 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 way to go now, right to go, right? That was so cool. So that really, as my research, just looking at Harriet Tubman, the facts about her, because you want to compare the facts to the movie's depiction of this woman and her surroundings during that time. And so she was born between 1819 and 1823. Her birth name was Aramita Ross, and she was nicknamed Minty by her mother. Her maternal grandmother, Modesty, arrived on a slave ship from Africa, and there's no other information that I could find about her ancestors. She had 8 siblings, and they were in different places. And I think that, as I looked, uh, one of the heartbreaks of her life was, being separated, her siblings being sold, right? So this is a depiction of her as a younger woman. She suffered a head injury, really, a white man threw a weight, like a 2 or 3 pound weight, at another black boy, like a black boy, and she, some kind of way, was in the way, so she got hit in the head, cracked her skull, all this kind of stuff, and she started having sleeping spells. They say sleeping spells. She was having like seizures, right, all through her life, and which in the movie and in what I found documentation, this gave her visions and dreams, and she considered these signs from God. So she was really faith driven. And I think about 14 is when she initially escaped. She found out, oh, hold up, I'm about to be sold. You've already sold my sisters. I mean, come on. And she knew what that meant, right? She wanted to be with her family. She wanted to be free. She married John Tubman, who was a free man. And when she escaped, she came back for him, but he had already married someone else, right? Um, she changed her name to Harriet after her mother, and also, she took her husband's name. And so, as I step back, now my grandmother, my paternal, my dad's mom, was born just at the end of the 1800s, right? She died in 2007, November 2007, when I was in Iraq. But she was known all of our lives as Hattie, Hattie. And I remember having a conversation with her when I was about 30-ish years old, right? And she said that her original name was Harriet. And, looking at this movie, going back and looking at facts, I was like, oh, like her family, like my grandma named her after Harriet Tubman. And she did not want that name, right? She wanted to be called Hattie. So that's just an aside. But anyway, so she and her 2 brothers, Harry and Ben, they escaped. However, her brothers turned back, which I don't even understand that, but that's what the facts say. So she used the Underground Railroad, which was a network of different people along the route that would help. They were abolitionists or they were free black folks. Um, they would help hide them out, help them, hey, go this way, just help them out, give them food. And then in 10 years, she made, something I saw like 13 trips, and I saw 19 trips over like a 10-year period. So somewhere in there, right? And she just saved a whole bunch of people. My God, right? And she was called Moses. and that was pretty cool. The Moses for her people. She carried a handgun, so that was true. And then she Harriet Tubman nor the slaves that she got, they were never captured. Now, how cool is that? And these are the facts. It's another picture of her. John Brown was one of her, one of the people she knew. Now, if you know anything about John Brown, he was a white man who led a revolt, and they hung him a couple of years after that. Other white men hung him after that. So for Tubman, she would disguise herself to avoid being caught. So she dressed as a man, an old woman, middle class, free blacks, right? That was so cool. And it was all these different facts about how they kept the babies quiet and all that kind of stuff was pretty interesting in my own research. Because that's what I wanted to do before watching the movie. I want to go back and get my own facts in my head straight, and then afterwards having a conversation with my son and the other people we went to the theater with. And what was so intriguing to me that she served during the Civil War, and she was paid, right? And she she worked as a nurse and a cook. And oh, by the way, she led an assault during the Civil War. One of the things that I was just blown away by was that she conducted a raid which set free about 700 slaves. I mean, my God, this woman was amazing. That's why I want to put her on the face of the $20 bill. I think that's on hold right now. I wonder why. Right? That's on hold right now. So when she was about 59 years old, well, the thing was, first when she was married to, she was a slave, married to a free man, right? She escaped. When she came back to get him a year later, he'd already got married to somebody else, right? Bam. So she was about 59 years old. She married Nelson Davis, who was about 22 years younger than she, and they eventually adopted a little girl named Gertie. They had their own plot of land and all that stuff from Senator Seward. So there was, there's been books written about her and all that kind of stuff. And she, after the Civil War, so after the Underground Railroad and the Civil War, then she went and led her leadership within the women's suffrage movement. She gave speeches in Boston, New York, and Washington. So all her life, she gave more than she got, right? And so she actually had brain surgery without anesthesia because of the injury she had. The man throwing the weight, hitting the crack in her skull, wasn't able to sleep, all that kind of stuff. She donated her property to the AME Zion Church in Auburn, and that's because in her later years, she actually ran a home for indigent people who didn't have any place to go, like those people that are still escaping from horrific situations. So she, donated her home so that can continue to happen to help people. She also had like a little, I don't know if it's called a hospital or some place like that, because she was a nurse during the Civil War and a cook. But she helped black, white, all different types of people in that medical place. So she, just going back and looking at the facts in the newspaper clippings and all those things, she died March 10th, 1913, and her tombstone was paid for by the Empire State Federation of Women Clubs, and that was in July 5, 1937. I thought that was pretty neat. It says she died when she was about 93. I've seen other things since when she died of pneumonia when she was 91, 93. So somewhere around that time, right? So she was buried with full military honors at Fort Hill Cemetery in Auburn, New York. And there is a ship named after her. And the thing is, she did all this and she could not read or write. So she was literate for her entire life, right? Illiterate, rather. So the movie, let's get to it. The movie is Harriet is a biopic. And a biopic is a film that dramatizes the life of a nonfiction, historically based person or people. It shows the life of a historical person and the central characters, whatever their real name is used. And there's like a whole bunch of scuttlebutt in the news, about the way the movie is depicted, and some of the scenes in the movie are not historically true. And oh, woo, and it's like because of the main character Brienne from the lady, the actress who plays Harriet, is um, is a British born um, actress, and so a British. I think she's like Nigerian and British or something like that, and so there's a lot of scuttlebutt about that, and why didn't a Black American play the part, or the fact that I think she's on Twitter and she's made some disparaging remarks about folks. I don't know what that is, and I can tell you right now, I could care less. I'm just like I'm just like focused on the moment of the movie, right? But that's what a biopic is. And so Cynthia Erivo, she really does capture the spirit of the Underground Railroad freedom fighter Harriet Tubman. She does it with enough ferocity and feelings. She just set this thing up, right? The story is in 1849. It starts out with Harriet, then a slave known as Minty. She fought the idea that she was personal property, right? And I think one of the things says, God didn't mean for people to own people. So who knows if she actually said those words, but it played well in the movie, right? So she um, did not believe people should own people. I don't believe that foolishness either. But at the time, her husband John, like I said, he was a free man. He had found legal proof, had gotten him a lawyer. That's what the movie, as it started. Gotten him a lawyer. Went and approached the slave owner, right? And showed him all of that. And the man just tore that stuff up. And so Mr. Brodus, the slave owner, was not having any of that foolishness. He wanted to get a lawyer. Get off my property with that. So that's when she decides that I got to get out of here, because they were going to put her up for sale, right? Had to get that foolishness away from the other slaves, right? So the bottom line was there was some caveat said that when Minty's mom uh, was 45 years old, then everybody should be free. Uh, and and oh, by the way, the slave owner was like, "Shut your big old mouth." Not so many words, but that did not go over well, right? So that was the start of the movie, and I tell you what, I really just liked the way it just slid right into showing, her as a real woman, right? Not so much as getting the beat down, the horrors. They did show some of it, but that was not the whole center of the movie. So the director, screenplay writer, and main characters. So Cassie Lemons is an American film director and actress, most notable for her work on the films like Eve's Bayou, The Caveman's Valentine, and Talk to Me. I want to tell you right now, that whole Eve's Bayou, I hated it. It was just horrific. I was thinking whoever wrote this was sick in the head. Ugh. It was just so much blood, and it was just, ugh, I did not like it. So actually, I did not know that this same lady was the director until afterwards, and thank goodness, because I would have been like, I don't want to see that. Right? Yeah, that whole Eve's Bayou. Did anybody see that? Any of y'all see Eve's Bayou? Ugh. So if you've not seen the movie and you know that this director, had something to do with that same, she directed that same one, don't worry about that. Just go ahead and see it anyway. This was, Cassie Lemons directed it. She also co-wrote the screenplay with Gregory Allen Howard, and yeah, so he actually directed the movie with Denzel Washington. I think it was about the team, football team in Alabama. Well, this escapes me right now, but anyway, so that was pretty good, and that's him with with Cynthia Erivo. And then the main characters was Cynthia Erivo as Tubman with Leslie Odom Jr. That's why my son was all excited. Of course, Angela Odom. He was like, "Mom, is that a cousin?" I said, "I don't know, baby. I think it's really good though." He's really good. And then of course Joe Alwyn and Janelle Monáe, they were in supporting roles. Oh, Carrie, so you did not see Eve's Bayou? I'm gonna tell you right now, it was so disturbing. It was like, ugh. It was like horror movie, messed up history or something. It was just, ugh. I wouldn't recommend that to anybody. Oprah was in that, and I love Oprah, but I'm telling you what, it was horrible. It was so disturbing. Let me come back to myself. Usa. So this to the cast, picture of the cast right here, and it was. I think they picked. I have no issues with the cast. The white, black, the children. None of them. I don't. I thought everybody did what they were supposed to do. They played their parts, right? That was good. Okay. Oh, Carrie says that's good to know. I'll skip that one. Yeah, I'm telling you, skip that one. It was about a lady who actually killed her. Uh, she was killing her kids because she didn't want them to be in slavery, but they showed it. So crazy. Anyway, so Harriet the movie. I'm gonna just tell you what I didn't like about the movie. I really didn't like the change to history. It had like one of the things that I had in there was a black male slave catcher, like a bounty hunter, and the black man was the villain with a white savior, like the slave owner's son. After the slave owner, the man of the house, died, his son, who had was depicted as actually saving her or something. I was like, man, that's some foolishness right there. I didn't like that at all. I didn't like that. I didn't like the whole comments that the bounty hunter made. I just didn't care for it at all. Um, and I just it just took me aback. I'm like, okay, there's that lady with that Eve's Bayou foolishness right there. Yeah, so I did not like that. I didn't understand why they didn't elaborate on free black people. They were not explained. So they were walking around the movie, the free black husband, right? And then the whole other free blacks all over the place. So they just mixed in there together. I'm saying, well, wow, what's going on? I didn't like that. I think they could have helped us understand the different rights of people at different levels, right? They could have talked about that a little more, brought that into the story a little more. And so that was really the only two things I didn't like. That was huge, though. It was really huge. And then what I liked about the movie was a lot. I liked the fact that the movie loosely depicted the Harriet Tubman's life. It was finally on the screen. So I like the fact that the movie was in the movies at the theaters, that it would initiate discussion. I really like that. That was good. Um, I think she was accurately depicted as a leader. She was a leader. So, I love that part. Um, and right, I think they actually tried to depict like a full life, like a real woman, like a resilient woman of deep faith. I mean, even kissing a husband, right? Who knew Harriet Tubman was kissing somebody? She, of course, was praying to God, and that was open. I love that. She was a devoted daughter, an effective communicator, an orator, and a fearless leader. I liked how they brought those parts out throughout the movie. I like the fact about the Underground Railroad and how, those safe houses and secret routes and how, there was, people all throughout the network, white and black, right? Different folks helping, and they were just there because my whole thing is nothing significant is done alone. And my God, that was amazing. So I like the fact that they depicted the Underground Railroad and talked about, the being a conductor and what that meant and all those kinds of things, how people of all backgrounds helped. I liked how they showed her love for her family. Sometimes when you watch movies from this era, right? From this era, from like the 1800s, early 1900s, they depict slaves or former slaves um, from the perspective of the slave owner, taking the people, ripping them from their families, right? Ripping them from their families. Not necessarily the deep love they have for their families. It's just at the traumatic moment, and you see them screaming and hollering and all this kind of stuff being ripped. But you don't see the fact that they are longing for that connection to the people that they love. So I love that how they depicted her love for her family. Oh, I'm a proud Army veteran, so I really, really, really love the movie. The movie that it covered her being, in service to the Army, right? So that was so cool to me. And oh, Lord have mercy, how she was standing in front of that formation. Oh, I was like, gave me chills. The fact that she's buried with full military honors, I like that also. So, and the other thing I like how they depicted the different perspectives, just humanity. They, they showed the perspective of the slaves who didn't want to be slaves, right? Wanted to leave, wanted to escape. They just needed a leader. They know how to do it. And then they also, I appreciate the perspective of the folks who wouldn't leave, right? Because that's what they knew, or because they weren't going to leave their kid, or whatever it was, right? Um, and then the perspective of the slave owners and the economic impact of owning slaves or owning property. The impact of treating men, women, boys, and girls inhumanely to keep their own way of life intact. And then the interaction between slave owners, white men and women, and what they had to do in their own plight, own society, how they would, keep up their own appearances. So that was interesting. And then it was, the perspective of the black folks who were born free. And that's something that was just and before I move on, so for me, for my age, so my mom was born on her birth certificate. My mom was born a Negro. I was born black, right? And then you like Afro American. Now we say African Americans. I'm still black, so that's why I say black folks, just to as an aside, right? So black folks who were born, the ones who were born slaves and at some point gained their freedom. I appreciated that perspective also being brought out in the movie, which is pretty nice. Um, okay, as Carrie said, I liked how they really showed and focused on her walking 100 miles without food, and she kept walking. She had a vision of freedom that kept her walking. It really showed the difficulty of her journey. Woo wee! I'm telling you what, and I'm walking 3 miles an hour, huffing and puffing, right? Talking about how my toe hurt, my knee hurt. It's just like, and I was thinking about that whole thing of not being able to swim and jumping in the water. It was amazing. So yes, Carrie, yes, yes, yes. I like that also. So for the things that you liked about the movie, I'd love to know what they are. What was it, and then what you didn't like also, so you can put those in the comments below. So it wasn't necessarily a movie about the horrors of slavery. I think it was a movie about a heroic woman. And so, if you look at how do you lead? What do you lead with? What's the focus? And the focus, I think, was simply showing Harriet Tubman throughout her life and what that looked like for the tiny woman who did so much. Right? It was amazing. It was amazing. It brought me to tears. Right? To think about um, all she did to survive, to help others, to give back. She gave so much of herself. It was just amazing, and so that's what I really liked about the movie overall. The music also. What did y'all think about the music? The music was amazing. Both. Um, demonstrating a way for Harriet to communicate with the other slaves, and also just the musical score of the movie. So both aspects of the music, I really like that also. I was like, ooh, stand up, da da da. I was like singing and going on, didn't know any of the words. So it really, for me, the movie really just allows for it allows room for discussion. It's like a point of entry because in order to capture the overall the entire essence of who Harriet Tubman was, the movie would have been all day and all night. And so when you talk about just crunching that thing into the length of a movie, plus those previews, the previews lasted forever. Um, so so when you just talk about crunching that in, I thought they did what they could to bring it, put it on the screen and make it interesting. They added some things in there that, quite frankly, I like. I was just like, who does that? What kind of foolishness is that? But guess what? It was still interesting, and my favorite teenager watched the entire thing, and with his own discussion points, right? So Harriet the movie just brought back to me what a great leader actually looks like, right? So she was accountable. She took responsibility for the good, bad, and ugly. She was future oriented. She was positive, strong communicator. She established clear goals, right? She was trustworthy. She was very self-aware, which I thought was amazing. She developed relationships that mattered, and she was all able to speak truth to power. She was agile, able to adjust and change, and she built teams. And oh, by the way, even though she could not read or write, she was a lifelong learner, which amazing. She also helped others build their personal leadership skills. She was training people, mentoring, and coaching them. Yeah. So she was definitely a great leader. So, okay, here, Carrie says, "What did your son say with the lady homeowner who takes them in was murdered?" Oh, when the lady homeowner was murdered. Who was murdered? Who was murdered? Let's see, what part of the movie? The lady homeowner. The husband. Okay, mom and dad were not. So which one? Which one was that, Carrie? Let's see. Let me go back to because you got some other comments down here. Make sure I go cover it up. Okay. I love that they show the cruelty of slave ownership with the speech from the owner's son comparing her to a hog. Yeah, that could be owned and named and then eaten. It got the point across to us without the gory stuff they could have done. Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Um, and so the printer houses her at the lady's house. The printer houses her at that lady's house. Lady. What lady? I didn't leave the theater, so what lady? Oh, yeah. My son. Oh, what did he say about he? I think at that he was talking throughout the whole movie. So I was telling him, okay, stop. We're going to talk about this afterwards. He was my son. I think initially, he did not want to see it because he was expecting gory, violent scenes. He throughout the movie, what he was saying to me were things like, um, "Oh yeah, I know which one you're talking about now, Carrie." But throughout the movie, he was telling me, he was saying things like, "Mom, um, she don't need to go back." And then he would say, "She needs to hurry up and go back." She's gonna get. Ooh, I like he would. I think it was with the niece. Ooh, I liked how she did that. Or he was just making comments like that. And he would say, "Well, is that true?" So he's asking me if it's true, historically true, some of the points in the movie. I always think that's interesting that thinks I know about all types of things. So I did my research ahead of time because I knew that would be some discussions. I think his overall what he told me, his overall take was he's glad he went, glad he saw it, and that he didn't know that Harriet Tubman, that a woman in those times could actually lead anything, right? Would it be able to own the house? Would it be able to, uh, you know, and then he was also surprised. He's like, she couldn't read. Who can read, Mom? So that was good for us to have that discussion also. Did he ever? Did he actually ever see Roots and the Balance of, or had he just heard about it? Oh no, I made him watch it. I made him watch Roots. He also saw um, we have discussions on police violence and how to protect himself, how to come home safe. We have discussions on like um, what is that? The five young men um, who were in prison wrongfully. Yeah, so he watched that on his own and came back and talked to me about it. So we have those discussions quite frankly all the time. And so I watch the news a lot. So he is, he'll tell me on his phone, like, hey, mom, I just saw this A, B, and C in the news. What do you think about that? Or is that true? Could that possibly happen? Those types of things. So I just guide him. My whole point to him is there's so much going on. I need him to come home safe. I need him to understand people in uniform. I want them to watch people in uniform, people out of uniform. I want them to watch their actions, and I want him to be respectful to everybody. So that's the discussion we have, my son. And so that's interesting. So that another thing, I just need him to understand history. I need him to be a well-read, well-rounded young man. So he is able to have discussions with people without seeing comments on the internet and taking someone else's perspective of something without having his own baseline of understanding. And quite frankly, I want to shape the way he sees that so that he didn't think that every white man is a danger to him, because it's simply not true. Every black man is not a friend to him, because it's simply not true, right? And so I teach him to watch people's actions. And oh, by the way, any there's a big word, respect, not smart mouth or resistant to someone in authority. Yeah, 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 yeah. So of course, he started his life out with being around people in the military uniform, so he understands, my perspective on authority. And I think um, we just need to watch people's actions more than anything else, and be respectful. Period. See people as they are, and that's because, quite frankly, in high school and middle school was sure rules of all them folks trying to figure out who they are and what they're going to be, and how to respect one another, their character, and all that kind of foolishness. So, and definitely just having to teach him how to look at a person's actions, whether they were his age or older, my age. Now, if a woman, this is so interesting, as an aside from my review, right? If a woman says something to my son, especially an older woman, then he automatically believes her, like, period. So I have to just say, hey, hello, come back to mom. And I have to teach him again to watch people's actions while you're being respectful. I just need him to have, the ability to think for himself, right? So that he comes home safe. That's the bottom line. Come home safe. Come home safe to mom. Anyway, so for Harriet the movie, woo, interesting. I know that there is a lot of discussion right now about the actors and actresses, the director, the some of the facts on the movie itself, the way they were depicted. And I'm just going to tell you to go see it for yourself. Have a discussion for yourself. Or, with that said, just do your own research on Harriet Tubman. Do your own, because this is it's like a launch pad um, for the discussion. And so, don't take my word from it. Go do your own research, and then have a discussion as opposed to parroting what other people say. So the good news is that each of us, all these leadership attributes and characteristics and traits, they can be learned through practice and repetition. Like, we all can do. I don't know if we could do. I don't know if we could do what Harriet Tubman did. You look at her time, the time frame, the amount of courage and resilience and vision she showed, she demonstrated. Woo, that's amazing. But I do know that we can all learn to lead and to inspire others, right? We could do that. So Harriet the movie, woo! I enjoyed watching the movie with my son, being able to have that discussion. I enjoyed watching the movie. It was entertaining. It really was. And I enjoyed, just learning so much about Harriet Tubman, which I did not know some of those things after I did my research. So I appreciate it. I appreciate the fact that the movie's on the big screen. I do. So this is what I shared. Harriet Tubman was a real person. Harriet the movie, talked about, share with you what I did not like and what I did like about the movies. And I appreciate, Carrie, your feedback also. Um, and then the director, the actors, the main characters, and what I didn't like and what I did like. So that was pretty cool. I think that's my first movie to review. I might do more of these. I really enjoyed it, and I think I got such a kick out of it because she's a fellow veteran, baby, and we're right around the corner from Veterans Day. How cool is that? She might become like my favorite veteran ever. My favorite person, period. So I'll see you tonight. We're going to start a 3-day live stream series, Leadership Communication, and we're going to do it, here and also inside of the Better You Project Facebook group. We'll start at 7 p.m. and again, we'll do that 3 nights. In the meantime, go ahead and join the group if you've not already done that. And this is, again, so I'm Angela Odom, and my focus is on helping emerging women leaders, get promoted, progress in their career, and to thrive within their social environments. That's what I'm about, right? So I'm a leadership trainer, and that is my focus. So the Better You TV every Tuesday at noon, we are discussing a leadership themed topic. And normally we go about 20, 25 minutes today with the movie review. I think we're probably at about 43, 44 minutes. That was real good, y'all. That was real good. And so we're going to do a 1-day workshop, learn how to lead workshop on December 14th. If you've not already got your ticket, then go ahead and get your ticket at the Eventbrite. And so we're going to do that at the beautiful Ellis Hotel downtown Atlanta. So go to Eventbrite. Go ahead and register for that. That's going to be real, real good. And I'll go ahead and I'll drop the link in there. And I'll see you tonight. So for the people that are watching this on replay and you stay to the end, boom, 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 boom. You go ahead and share this video. Show this episode of the Better You TV with someone. Start a watch party. Like and comment all throughout. Your hashtag on there, hashtag replay, and then add your comments. All right. So the people that have not seen the movie, let me know what you're gonna do. All right. The time is 7 p.m. Eastern time, right? That would be 6 p.m. Oh yes, Karen. Hey, thank you, Karen. You are just so nice to me. So tonight, I'm Eastern Standard Time, right? So 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that'll be 4 Pacific, right? 6 Central. Thank you, Carrie. You are a keeper. Love it. Let me stop sharing real quick. And there you go. Bam. Boom. Just like that. I really enjoyed that. All right. With that said, you all have a good day, and we will see you all tonight for Leadership Communication, 3-day training series, and we'll see you then. All right, y'all take care.